Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told out of PTCGRadio. So today, we are back with another installment of Pokemon cards that will never be printed again. Now, I am not giving some kind of cast iron guarantee that you will never see these cards again. What I'm saying is that we can look at these cards and similar cards and the actions of the Pokemon Company in printing these cards and say with a fair degree of certainty, these old cards were way too powerful and we're never getting them back. And let's start off with one of the best cards we've ever seen, although honestly you could basically say that about all of these, Pidgeot. Yeah, you see, back in Fire Red Leaf Green, we got a Pidgeot. And that Pidgeot had a fairly innocuous ability, Quick Search. Once during your turn, you may choose any one card from your deck and put it into your hand. Now, it was limited to once during your turn. Even if you had multiple Pidgeot, you were not allowed to use this ability multiple times. But it got literally any card whatsoever. It was absolutely ludicrous. Back at the time, we did actually have a Macargo as well. And Macargo let you search for any card and put it on top of your deck. And you would then draw it with something like Ludicolo, for instance. And that Macargo did get pretty much a straight reprint in Celestial Storm. No sign of Pidgeot. And the reason is, it's too good, ladies and gentlemen. It's literally too good. It gives way too much power to decks that get it set up. And you saw Pokemon kind of admit that it was too good. Because after a little while, when we got to Emerald, we got cards like Battle Frontier. Now, Battle Frontier, right? Each player's colorless evolved Pokemon, and also Darkness and Metal, can't use any Poker Powers or Poker Bodies. It was literally just like, shut down Pidgeot, you're not allowed to use Pidgeot. We also got cards like Metacham EX, for instance, which literally had a Poker Body that said each Pokemon other than EXs can't use Poker Powers, like, for instance, this Pidgeot, and it all got just a little bit silly. In terms of just having blatant Pidgeot counters. And the fact that Pokemon printed really obvious specific counters to Pidgeot, the fact that they really are not messing with these kind of abilities since, and they're willing to reprint something like Macargo but stay away from Pidgeot, really does tell me that this is just too good. It is a card that at the time was basically a staple in every deck that didn't directly counter it, and the actions of Pokemon since, both in terms of printing counter cards and in terms of reprinting similar but significantly less powerful cards, really does seem to say to me that Pidgeot was fun. We all had our fun with Pidgeot, but now that fun is over and Pidgeot's never coming back. I feel fairly confident saying that. But what else are we never going to get again? How about the Jirachi from EX Deoxys? Now, this one I think is very easy to look at because it's extremely similar to the Jirachi from Team Up that everybody is currently playing, and incidentally is one of the very best cards in the game at the moment. So the Jirachi from EX Deoxys had the Poker Power Wishing Star. Once during your turn, if Jirachi is your active Pokemon, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose one of them, and put it into your hand. And then you shuffled your deck. Jirachi and your other active Pokemon, if any, are now asleep. Worth noting that at the time we did have a doubles format, so cards at the time that were applicable did specifically refer to both active Pokemon, etc, etc. Had to be done. So it let you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put one of them into your hand, and then it went to sleep. Now, if we compare that with the Jirachi from Team Up, the Jirachi from Team Up lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put any trainer card into your hand and then go to sleep. Now, Jirachi does exist at the same time as a skateboard, reduces your retreat cost by 1 and lets you retreat even if you're asleep. So we can look at this and go, well, this Jirachi is actually better because it had a skateboard. But no, we can't. I did actually look at a video a little while ago. I showed you how you can still make that Jirachi viable, bearing in mind post-rotation, we're not going to have a skateboard. We're still going to have switch. We're still going to have scoop up net. We're still going to have air balloon or U-turn board for free retreat. And then you're even going to be able to play stuff like Galarian Rapidash if you want to make sure that you're not asleep. It makes you immune to special conditions. So the point is, there are going to be plenty of ways to use this Jirachi. But we look at Jirachi, and it is at the center of so many of the top decks right now. I think if we were to look at the very, very best deck in the game right now, you could make an argument for Zacian. You could make an argument for Pikachu and Zekrom. You could make an argument for Dedenne, and Dedenne would actually be a very strong argument, but you could make an extremely good argument that Jirachi is the very best card in the game right now. And it is a weaker version of the one from EX Deoxys. Just imagine having this same ability, except you can grab a Pokemon, or you can grab an energy, including a special energy. Just absolutely ridiculous. And not for nothing, it's even got probably a better attack. Same attack cost 1 metal, 1 colorless, but it does 20 rather than 30. But if the defending Pokemon has any Poker Bodies, you do 50 instead. Doesn't work for Poker Powers, but it does work for Poker Bodies. Obviously, nowadays we have abilities. It would say abilities, and it would be awesome. Make no mistake about it, this Jirachi was beyond ridiculous. And honestly, right, back then, we did have stuff like Pidgeot, which did remove the need slightly for Jirachi, though make no mistake, Jirachi was still a phenomenal card that saw a huge amount of play. I think the fact that they printed a weaker version, and it still started crushing, makes me think that Jirachi from EX Deoxys is left in the past. We can have a weaker version of it, but that one was just too good. And then let's pivot from old cards to a significantly newer card, a card which we can still play in Expanded, but I don't think we're ever getting back. Tropical Beach. Yeah, Tropical Beach was kind of phenomenal, and we keep getting kind of weaker reprints of Tropical Beach. Now, Tropical Beach was given out as the Worlds promo in 2011. If you qualified for Worlds, you got this in 7 different languages, and then was given out again at Worlds 2012. And then they stopped. Since then, in 2013, we got Champions Festival. In 2014, we got Champions Festival. And that's kept going. Every year, we have had Champions Festival printed as the Worlds promo. Tropical Beach is over. Now, one of the reasons I think Tropical Beach is over is it was a Worlds promo, and we've now had, up to last year, 7 years in a row of Champions Festival. That alone makes me think this card is gone. But it let you draw until you had 7 cards in your hand and then ended your turn. And slower decks like Wailord that just sat there blocking, loved it. Slower decks like Gothitelle that could crush with item lock, but only once they were set up, loved it. And it did actually see play. Ross Cawthorn did make 2nd place at Worlds last year with his ridiculous Reuniclus deck, amongst many other things, including Donphan Prime. Yay! And he actually played 1 copy of it. Remember, you only got 1 English copy in the deck, and American players are only allowed to play English versions of cards in their decks. So basically what that meant was he could only put 1 copy in, even if he wanted more. Certainly when that deck was played after Worlds, it did have more than 1 copy in. But the point is, very, very good card. And what have we seen since? Well, one of the cards we're actually getting in the not-too-distant future coming out in Darkness Ablaze is Rose Tower. And Rose Tower is just the stadium equivalent of Oranguru. Each player draws until they have 3 cards in their hand. Oh, that's not as good. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't end your turn, but it draws until you've got 3 cards in your hand rather than drawing until you've got 7. That basically tells you what you need to know, ladies and gentlemen. That should tell you everything you need to know. Except there has been another print of a card. Now, this was only in Japan, and that's very important. Japan got this card, we didn't. Now, Japan actually got it twice. It was a trophy card, not unlike Tropical Beach. Okay, it was a participation card, Tropical Beach, but you had to qualify for the tournament. And it was called Player's Ceremony, and it read that once during each player's turn, they may draw 2 cards. If they do, their turn ends. And you would use this in stalling decks like Wailord and setup decks like Gothitelle. You would use it in decks where either you never, or didn't for the first couple of turns, want to draw cards so that you could essentially set up. And that's kind of my point here, ladies and gentlemen. When we're getting cards like Player Ceremony and Rose Tower, when we've had 7 years of World Championships without reprinting Tropical Beach, when Pokemon have time and time again had an opportunity to reprint it and chosen not to, I think that tells you everything you need to know. It is still legal and expanded. Don't expect to see it coming back to standard. Drawing supporters, Pokemon seem all in favour of drawing supporters, but I don't think we're getting Tropical Beach back. That's not to say these cards were a mistake at the time, or that Pokemon are doing anything nefarious by not reprinting them. Cards at the time seem like good ideas, and some of them just end up being seen as way too good, and they have to be powered down. That's what we see from these cards. So, it's been a while since I did one of these videos. At some point in the future, I'll probably do another. I do have a nice little list of cards that I think will never be reprinted, but I would love to hear from you guys. Tell me what cards in the comment section you think are so good they'll never come back. We don't include banned cards, that seems like cheating, but cards that were printed and played and never banned, but are so good you think we're just never going to get them again. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.